Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Garage. Gerald here with you. The Oscars, the Academy Awards. I am a sucker for them, and I do these early, way too early, Oscar predictions videos. This will be the last way too early predictions video that I do. I do mine a little bit differently than a lot of pundits and friends and podcasts that I've watched and listened to. I give my initial predictions all the way back in like June, and I stick to those. The only reason I may sub in and swap out predictions is because if movies get pushed back and they don't get released. I never change my predictions based on word of mouth or even my pleasure of a film once I see it. It's weird because I don't want to get it right necessarily. I'm not competing in like a pool to do that. What I'm trying to do is to see how off I was or how accurate I was when I first started researching and looking into these possible nominees and these well-revered pictures that people were looking forward to, or in some cases may have already seen at the film festivals. With that being said, back in June when I recorded my Best Picture nominees early predictions, two of those films are not going to be in the mix because they've gotten pushed back to 2024. Those are Blitz and, sadly, Dune Part 2, Denis Villeneuve's got-to-be epic on the horizon, got pushed back. The tears are still flowing. So, with those two movies out of the top 10, I had to put in a couple subs, and it actually ended up helping me because I think the two movies that I left out of my initial predictions that I'm going to now squeak in here to my top 10 are surefire. I hate saying sure thing, but they are possibly the closest sure things we have for Best Picture this year. Let me pull it up here. These are my Best Picture predictions as they stand right now. With Blitz out and with Dune Part 2 out, I was able to sub in Poor Things and Oppenheimer. I did not have those two in my initial predictions for Best Picture. So, I look like an idiot if you watch my initial video because of course those two movies are going to get nominated for Best Picture. So this is just a quick summary here. Killers of the Flower Moon, The Color Purple, Poor Things, Maestro, Mini Cooper's Raise Up, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Emerald Fennell's Saltburn, Napoleon, The Killer, and Ferrari. If you heard the tone in my voice change on those last three, it's because I have no idea. But like I said, I'm sticking to my guns because these are the 10 movies I had in my initial predictions, with the exception of those two that I had to swap in that I mentioned. So also I want to do a quick recap of the lead actor and lead actress predictions that I had, just to remind you guys where we stand on those. So nothing changed here either. I'm just giving you a refresher. The only thing is I inserted Jeffrey Wright in my number 10 slot for American Fiction, winning the Audience Award at TIFF. A lot of great chatter about his performance, and in my opinion, he is long overdue for being recognized from the Academy. The guy is such a phenomenal actor. But with Dune Part 2 not coming out this year, I initially had Timothée Chalamet in that slot. So therefore, I'm making a sub here, and I decided to go with Jeffrey Wright. A quick recap: Bradley Cooper, Cillian Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's your top three. I think those three are as close as we can get to sure things in lead actor. Then I'm sticking to my guns with Joaquin Phoenix, working with Ridley Scott again for Napoleon. Coleman Domingo for Rustin gets the 5th spot for me. I've been saying that all along. I think he is in the top 5. He might move up a little bit when the movie is released. Then you have a couple wishful thinkings for me personally. Michael Fassbender for The Killer. Paul Giamatti probably flipped with Joaquin Phoenix here, right? I'm sticking to my guns. This is what I thought back in June or July when I think I did the lead actors in July. But I do think Paul Giamatti, if he were in the top 5 based on what I've heard about his performance in Alexander Payne's The Holdovers, I would not be surprised. Kingsley Ben-Adir portraying Bob Marley. Anthony Hopkins for a movie called Freud's Last Session, where he plays Sigmund Freud. I predicted, it's coming out in December. So as far as I know, it's still a 2023 release and will still be eligible. A lot of people have been mentioning Hopkins for a movie called One Life, which is also a possibility. I mean, let's be honest, anytime Hopkins is in literally anything, it's a possibility. The guy is the absolute father. He's the master, no pun intended. But I put him in here for Freud's Last Session, and I'm going to stick to that. I think it's going to come out late in the year, and people are sleeping on it. That's my opinion, because Anthony Hopkins is going to turn it up. And when people see that movie late in the year, I feel like it's going to have a lot of buzz at the right time if the movie's good. I'm assuming it will be. And then at my number 10, like I mentioned earlier, Jeffrey Wright. I think he could get in. I think, honestly, he could get into the top 5 as more and more people start to discuss and review American fiction. As of right now, I've got him in the top 10. Swapped him out with Chalamet. All right, so now let's look at a refresher for the lead actress category, which is extremely competitive right now with the fall festivals going on. So in July, when I released my video, you can go back on the channel and look at it. I'll throw a tag up here for you. Predicted Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon and the lead actress. Everybody was saying supporting. Guess what? She is going to campaign for lead. That was her choice, apparently. I have not seen the movie. It's one of my most anticipated of the year. It's Scorsese. And rumor has it, she is the anchor of that film, and she is the lead of that film, at least from a female perspective. DiCaprio being the male lead. So, it makes sense that she would stay in this category, and I'm so thrilled that she is campaigning in that category. A lot of people say, well, she's giving up the supporting actress trophy. She was a shoo-in for that. She was the front runner for that. But I don't think she should cheapen her performance or lessen her worth on the project just to win an award. If she is the lead actress in that movie, then that's what she should campaign for, and that's what she should be recognized as. So I applaud it. And I also would not sleep on her possibly winning that award too, because of how monumental it would be from a narrative standpoint. A quick rundown besides her: Greta Lee from Past Lives, still my front runner to be nominated for Best Actress. I think its release date might hurt that a little bit, but I think she's pretty much in the top 5 no matter what. But I've got her at my number 1. Gladstone, I mentioned. Emma Stone for Poor Things is probably a lot of people's number 1 coming out of the fall festivals, based on the kind of batshit crazy performance and the premise around Lanthimos's Poor Things. Probably takes a lot for an actress to pull off. They've worked together before, so I'm sure the chemistry's there and the work ethic. So she probably dials it up to 11. I think she's in the top 5. Carey Mulligan from Maestro, another powerhouse. And then the top 5 is rounded out by Fantasia Barrino. Natalie Portman from May December, I had in my top 10. Margot Robbie for Barbie. I would love to see get in the top 5, but I just think it's too stiff of competition. Kaylee Spaney from Priscilla. That was on a hunch because I'm an Elvis fanatic, and I thought that the Baz Luhrmann film Elvis performed extremely well with the Academy members last year in terms of nominations, even though it came up empty win-wise. A lot of people put it on their ballots or preferential ballots. I think Elvis is an entertainer that just transcends, and regardless of what awards body you're on, it's going to raise an eyebrow. So I did it on a hunch, and then along with Sofia Coppola and a lot of the other things, A24 has been on a freaking tear in terms of the Academy Awards lately. I mean, even last year with Everything Everywhere for the most part. But now that I'm seeing some feedback and people that have seen the film and her winning the Cannes Award for Actress, I'm feeling better and better about her moving up in the proceedings. Right now, I've still got her at 8 because, like I said, I'm not really changing my predictions unless I have to switch something out. And my last 2 would be for Kate Winslet for a film called Lee, and Annette Bening for Naiad. I've heard a lot of great things about Annette Bening and the veteran actress that she is. But if you look at this category, those 6 through 10s that I have listed there, and any other actress, frankly, that's in a award-worthy movie this year, I'm sorry. I think that top 5, that top line you're looking at on the screen there, is your 5 nominees for Best Actress, barring something insane happening in the last quarter of the year. I think that's your 5. I really do. I would be really, really surprised if one of those 5 on that top line does not make it into the lead actress nominations this year. But the Academy's been known to break hearts and make people scratch their head, so we'll see. So the real purpose of this video was to announce my predictions for supporting actor and supporting actress. So now that we wrapped up the 2 lead categories and Best Picture, let's get into it. This is my first time announcing those predictions. I'm going to start with supporting actor. And here you go. All right. So Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer skyrocketed to the top of the list for me. I saw that movie before I saw Barbie. I saw them like a couple days apart. And when I saw what RDJ did in Oppenheimer, I was in my mind going, this is the best acting I've ever seen this guy do. Maybe you could say a movie like Chaplin, when he played Charlie Chaplin. But aside from that, the acting has never been to this level in a dramatic sense. And that's not to take away from his career as an actor, because he's done a lot of great things, up to and including in the MCU as Iron Man and Tony Stark. I didn't expect the dramatic turn and the arc of his character in Oppenheimer and the way that he pulled it off. I think he's the front runner as we're sitting here. I thought that the weekend that I saw the movie. I still think that. And if he's not in the final 5, I'm in utter shock. Ryan Gosling for Barbie. I think Barbie's going to get a few technical nominations. And if you remember, I left it out of my Best Picture nominations. I'm kind of regretting that now because I would freaking love to see that nominated for Best Picture. But I think it's going to get a few technical nominations, Gosling for supporting actor, and that might be it. I would love to see Greta Gerwig nominated for Best Director, but without the Best Picture nomination, I don't know that I can say that in confidence that she would receive that nomination. With that being said, I'll just tell everyone she is easily in my personal top 5 directors this year of the movies that I have seen so far. But I think Gosling is a pretty good bet in terms of a supporting actor nomination. He's beloved by the Academy, and Barbie did so much for cinema this year. I mean, those first 2 actually, Barbenheimer, right? It was a literal movement that kept cinema alive, and I think it's going to be recognized in quite a few categories. But from an acting perspective, I think Gosling has the best bet. I've got Robert De Niro from Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't think I really need to elaborate on that too much. De Niro and Scorsese together, much like DiCaprio in the lead actor position. It's like they just go together, and they just put out amazing stuff every single time. Glenn Howerton, I want to throw in here from a movie called BlackBerry, a biopic about the creation of essentially the first smartphone, which was called the BlackBerry, for those of you that might not know or might be too young to know. Glenn Howerton, as a kind of sitcom TV comedic actor, Always Sunny in Philadelphia namely, turned in just a unsavory, antagonistic character in this movie. He has a couple scenes that when I was watching them, I was like, these are his Oscar clips right here. There's 2 of them. There's one in particular when he's in the office with the hockey owners. Those of you that have seen the movie will know that. And I think it would be such a cool story to have him nominated for an Academy Award after being kind of the goofball that he's been for 15 plus years on Always Sunny. It just proves that if you've got the acting ability, you have the range. And I think Howerton does, and I think he really proved it in BlackBerry. I've got Jamie Foxx for Burial in the 5th spot. Jamie Foxx is an actor that the Academy loves, and they've adorned with nominations before and trophies. Not just the Academy, but other awards bodies as well. So I think when Burial comes out later in the year, I have not seen it. Amazon Prime is going to be behind it. Tommy Lee Jones, another powerhouse with the Academy, is sharing the screen with Jamie Foxx here. And then obviously just such a feel-good story that he was able to overcome the odds in his personal life this year. And the Academy is going to want to kind of wrap their arms around him and embrace him from a narrative standpoint. But I also can't imagine that he won't be amazing as this kind of Johnny Cochran, fly by the seat of your pants attorney that he plays in the movie. When it comes to Poor Things, I think there's a shot for Willem Dafoe and for Mark Ruffalo. So what I decided to base it on is I didn't want to put both of them in here because I feel like that's highly unlikely. But I chose Mark Ruffalo, frankly, because I've heard he's on screen more. They're both supporting roles, but Ruffalo is there with Emma Stone more on camera, whereas Willem Dafoe is much more of a supporting role where he only shows up in a few scenes. Although if they are memorable enough, I wouldn't be shocked if he received a nomination as well, or maybe even in place of Ruffalo. But I'm really just basing it on what I know of their screen time in the movie and how Ruffalo is the true supporting actor to Emma Stone in the film. So I'm going to give it to Mark Ruffalo in my number 6 spot. John Magaro, as the husband in Past Lives, plays Greta Lee's husband, was such a sympathetic figure because he made you feel emotions outside of the pivotal relationship that we were following in the movie. You still felt for him, and you still saw his perspective, and you still wanted him to be okay. And I think that's a tender performance by Magaro, and I think that's why that worked. So I've got him in here as well at my number 7. My number 8 is Coleman Domingo again. If you remember, he was in my lead actor predictions as well. The Color Purple. I mean, it's a supporting role. It's a musical. I think Coleman Domingo could get nominated for that, and he could get nominated for Rustin as well. I'm positive, or almost positive, that he's going to get nominated for Rustin, and I wouldn't be shocked for The Color Purple. I think The Color Purple is going to receive like 7, 8, 9 nominations, if not more, at the Academy Awards this year. I've already mentioned Fantasia Barrino, and we're going to talk about supporting actress here in a minute. But I think from a supporting actor standpoint, I could see Coleman Domingo getting in there. And he could pull a Scarlett Johansson, the Jojo Rabbit year, where she had a lead actress nomination and she had a supporting actress nomination in the same year. So who knows? And then my last 2, I have no idea. Always when you get down to like the 7, 8, 9, 10 spots, you don't really know. You kind of have to see how it plays out. And that's why this is so exciting. But right now I've got Chris Messina from Air. I would love to see Air get 2 or 3 nominations. It came out so early, but you have an actress like Viola Davis who could get in there. Chris Messina as this kind of sleazy sports agent in Air was not only hilarious, but you were somewhat afraid of him. And much like a lot of his characters that he portrays, whether it's on TV or film, you just kind of can't wait for them to come back up. I mean, he's a scene stealer in this movie. And so is Chris Tucker, who honestly could also be at the floating around the 10 to 12 range for Air. I mean, they're both scene stealers. They both just chew up the scenery. So I'm all about it. A movie I haven't seen yet, The Holdovers, and Dominic Sessa would be my number 10, the young boy that befriends Paul Giamatti's character on this, I think, college campus, or maybe it's high school age, I'm not sure, over the Christmas holiday, I believe, or Thanksgiving holiday. I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. I've seen the trailers and a couple clips, and it looks like a pretty good performance where he's going toe-to-toe with Giamatti. And I do think Alexander Payne and Giamatti just elicit tons of Oscars, just those names. So I see the Academy, they're not going to mind raining down on The Holdovers accolades. So we'll see. I got Dominic Sessa right now in my top 10 at number 10. There you go. I'll blow it up for you. There are my 10 supporting actor predictions. I'll leave that on the screen for a second. I'm going to snapshot it myself when I edit the video back. All right, and then the last thing to reveal is my top 10 for supporting actress. Now, of course, I mentioned earlier, Lily Gladstone is campaigning for lead actress, which I had predicted anyway. But because of that, that makes this prediction a little easier. Although this was a really hard one for me because I've seen virtually nothing that's in the running, if you will, for this category. So I'm kind of going on word of mouth, articles that I've read, interviews I've seen, trailers, that kind of thing, and somewhat wishful thinking perhaps, but let's look at it. Penelope Cruz, for a movie that could be divisive. I had it in my Best Picture nominees, but I had it at number 10. Michael Mann is a director that the Academy generally ignores, to be honest. I mean, a few technical nominations over the years, but not a lot to put on his resume in terms of the Academy. recognition. But Penelope Cruz, on the other hand, could be his ticket to get some recognition, and the same could really be said for Adam Driver as well. But Penelope Cruz apparently turns in a really animated, memorable performance here, and she's such a good actress, and the Academy loves her. So I think right now, I'm predicting her as the front runner because, again, when this movie hits theaters and people see it, and Rotten Tomatoes and TikTok, and everybody starts reporting on it and commenting on it, I think Penelope Cruz is going to be a standout, and I think from an acting perspective, she's the most likely. I've got Taraji P. Henson here from The Color Purple. I've also got Danielle Brooks a little further down in my top 10. A lot of people have Danielle Brooks higher in this category. I did Taraji because of her pedigree with the Academy and her history. They love her, and so do I. And she does have a name for herself, and she's a veteran actress and easily can steal a scene. I haven't seen the movie yet, so this is tough because it's going to be between these two. I mean, of course, there's a world where both of them get nominated, which would be phenomenal. But assuming only one of them gets the nomination, I'm going to go with the bigger name here and pick Taraji P. Henson. Literally, I don't know. I'm flipping a coin. Taraji gets my second place. Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers, I've also only seen clips and trailers of her performance as one of the people stranded on campus during the holidays. And it looks like she's going to be an anchor in this film that's going to really ground these characters that are kind of at odds the whole movie. And she's going to be kind of that voice of reason. Probably a little bit of comedic relief as well. So she's going to be a welcome thing to us every time we see her on camera. And everything I've seen, absolutely, I'm on board with her getting a nomination for The Holdovers. Julianne Moore, this is a tough category, guys. This is a tough category because really only two of those first three I'm really comfortable with, because you could switch Taraji and Danielle Brooks right now and it would make sense. So aside from Randolph and Penelope Cruz, I literally don't know in this category. So let me just run down them real quick. But I've got Julianne Moore getting in the top 5 for May, December. She's going to be playing this character that you're going to have to connect with, and you're going to feel kind of icky doing that, because my understanding is that she began a love affair with, I think, like a 15-year-old when she was his teacher, and they remained together for 20 years or whatever it ends up being in the movie. You know what I mean? You hear that and you go, oh, that's kind of icky. I don't know about that. But I feel like you're still going to like her. And you got to imagine, to pull that off, you need an actress like Julianne Moore. This is going to be a scandalous movie. Todd Haynes, he knows what he's doing. Natalie Portman also stands a shot in lead actress. And that's another thing, too. They're co-leads. So I'm literally guessing. I don't think they've announced if Moore's going to be campaigning for supporting or not, or Portman's going to be campaigning for lead. I don't know if they've announced that. Assuming they haven't, I'm going to make a guess here and put Julianne Moore in there. And I already mentioned Viola Davis from Air. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, she's one of the best alive, and I think that gives her a good shot, and her performance was a huge standout in Air. I just wish the movie had come out a little bit later in the year so it would be top of mind for people. And then rounding out the 10, I'll just run through them real quick. I got Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. She looks devilishly awesome in the trailers and clips I've seen, and I cannot wait to see this movie. Promising Young Woman is probably in my top 25 or so of all time. It was easily my number 1 movie that year. I love Emerald Fennell as a filmmaker, and everything I've heard is that she takes her Promising Young Woman aesthetic and kind of improves it with Saltburn. So you got to imagine I'm going to love that movie. A lot of people have been talking about Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer. She had a couple really standout scenes, but I don't know that she's in the movie enough to really warrant her like that top 5 slot. Even though I love her, it would be a career nomination that I would applaud. Her performance in Oppenheimer, the 2 scenes I'm thinking of specifically are absolutely phenomenal, possibly 2 of the best acted scenes in the whole movie. But she's just kind of here and there throughout the 3-hour runtime. Then I've got Danielle Brooks, which we talked about from The Color Purple. Rachel McAdams from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. What a tender, beautiful parental performance that nobody is talking about this award this award season, or at least that I've heard talk about this award season. And I loved her in that movie. I thought Benny Safdie was great too as the father. But Rachel McAdams gives a really poignant, tender performance about basically watching her baby girl grow up and essentially become an adult before her eyes. She's kind of a starving artist in the movie, and it takes place in the 70s, so there's a lot of really cool aesthetics and really cool things going on. But I love Rachel McAdams, and she was just such a breath of fresh air, like a familiar face that really brought levity to that film. And then I've got America Ferrera for Barbie. You know, I wish there was more chatter about her performance as well in Barbie. Everybody's talking about Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, which you should be. But America Ferrera is a scene stealer. She has one moment in the movie where she gives her monologue about women's struggles, and it's powerful, which is crazy because it's a movie based on a child's toy. But there's so much more under the surface, and America Ferrera really brings that out in the movie. So there you go. Let me blow it up for you. Bam. I don't know what I'm talking about, guys, but as of right now, that's my top 10 for Best Supporting Actress at this year's Academy Awards. Man, I don't know. What am I doing? I don't think... Is any of that right? I just don't know, guys. All right, that's it. There you go. You got my updated way too early predictions. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to come back right before they announce the nominees, probably within a couple weeks before the nominees get announced, and I'll give my final real predictions. Because at that point, I'll probably have seen most of the films, if not all of them. So I'll at least have a lot more in my arsenal. And then I'll give my official, like, this is it. This is what I think. And I'll compare it to kind of the early predictions that we're talking about here and see how off I was. That's why I don't really change it until that moment in like late December, early January. And then after the nominees get announced and we're trucking along, I'll give my predictions video as well for who is going to win at the Academy Awards, which I do every year. And I'll do that a couple weeks before the awards ceremony. So a lot more Academy Awards talk coming on the channel on top of all the horror stuff. What am I doing? Who does a horror channel and an Oscars channel? Is that a thing? By the way, there were no horror nominees in there. Get with it, Academy. What did you guys think of my picks for the supporting actor and actress, or anything else for that matter? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time in the garage.